How's it going, guys? Nervy Gamer here. So this is going to be my top 20 favorite Game Boy Advance games of all time. That's right, this time I'm going to be doing Game Boy Advance games. Not only that, this is going to be also 20 games, which is not something that I would do for a lot of countdown videos. A lot of times I'll do 15 or 10, pretty much anywhere that's kind of in between those numbers. But this time I figure I might as well do 20. The only reason why I picked 20 is because there are too many good games to pick out for Game Boy Advance. So I figured this time, why not we do the 20 and just go from there. So, with that being said, guys, hope you guys enjoy the countdown, and let's get started. Number 20, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie game. This is kind of an odd choice to pick for this list, obviously because it's also a licensed game, which you're probably going to see a couple games that are licensed in this list, maybe because of the fact that there are actually some pretty good licensed games that were featured on the GBA back in the day. To be honest with you, SpongeBob was one of those games that I actually had a lot of fun with playing on the GBA. Even though this version, to be honest with you, was probably the only version I had before it even got the GameCube version. The GameCube version, unfortunately, I ended up renting it at Blockbuster until years later I actually bought the game at a pawn shop. When it comes to the GBA version, this was actually the version that I actually got for Christmas one year. Even though I really wanted the GameCube version, since I actually really loved the GameCube version and even loved the PS2 version, I rented that version as well. However, unfortunately, I ended up getting this game for Christmas, and not the GameCube version. I ended up getting this version. But even still, this version overall was actually a lot of fun. And to be quite honest with you, since it is a SpongeBob game, which SpongeBob games have gotten a lot better over the years, even from back in the day, SpongeBob did have some excellent games. And to be honest with you, even if this game was just a GBA game and it only was like a platformer, it still was a lot of fun. And I actually do think that this is one of the best SpongeBob games I played, especially from a handheld game. It is really good. Number 19, Bookworm. Bookworm on the GBA was actually a lot of fun to play. This is even before I actually discovered it on PC. I remember getting this game and being fell in love with it. Even back in the day when I actually was really struggling to actually know about words, this was actually one of the games I actually really got into, especially playing it on GBA. I enjoyed this game even more than Brain Age. Now, Brain Age is a game that I do not like playing because, I'm sorry, but I don't like playing math on my DS. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm just not big into those kind of games. Now, however, when it comes to Bookworm, Bookworm is just a lot of fun. It's very addicting and pretty much is almost like Scrabble, where you just kind of like mix different words and you can find each word, and you also get double the points by doing that. I do prefer the PC version over the GBA version since I played it many times more than this version. However, back in the day, this was the version I really enjoyed a lot. And to be honest, even if you got to play any of the versions, since I really hope that one day we actually get like more updated versions of Bookworm, since this Bookworm's actually a lot of fun to play. Even if it's almost like a Scrabble clone, it's still a lot of fun to play, and I still really enjoy it. Number 18, Drill Dozer. For most people, this would be a game that they put on a higher tier list. For me, it's at 18. The only reason why it's at 18 is because, one, I never exactly got to play it too much growing up. In fact, I never even heard this game even existed until, like, I want to say about 10 years ago. And the fact that I actually got to try this game recently. I found out that the creators of Pokemon, which is Game Freak, actually made this game, which is actually pretty interesting considering they've always done like RPG games like Pokemon and various other games over the years. This one just happened to be one of those games that kind of really fascinated me, especially the fact they actually made this game. And after trying the game out, I gotta say this game is just a lot of fun. It's nice to see that Game Freak made something a little bit different. For a platformer, this was really something. I really enjoyed this game. For the story, I thought it was really good, and the platform elements is just a lot of fun. And all the characters are just very quirky and just really good. Honestly, this game, I would love to see them actually make a sequel, or maybe perhaps even a port on the Switch too. This would be something nice to see. Number 17, Banjo Pilot. I think in terms of racing games that are featured on the GBA, this is probably one of my favorite ones. Mainly because of the fact that this game feels like a lot like the original Diddy Kong Racing, which at one point used to be called Diddy Kong Pilot, and originally was supposed to be a sequel to Diddy Kong Racing until it got rethemed to Banjo Pilot and featured all the Banjo-Kazooie characters. Which in my opinion, I actually do not mind, since I actually do like a lot of the Banjo-Kazooie characters and the games. So honestly, this game overall was just actually a lot of fun. And it's nice to see that it definitely feels a lot like the original Diddy Kong Racing, but it has all the Banjo-Kazooie characters. And honestly, the gameplay is actually pretty good. It does feel a little bit different, even though I still prefer the Diddy Kong Racing DS port. But even then, this game is just a lot of fun. And honestly, even playing all the Banjo-Kazooie characters doesn't exactly bother me, since I do like them all anyway. This game is just a lot of fun. The story mode definitely feels like a lot like the original Diddy Kong Racing game, and pretty much has every single thing that happens to be really good. In a way, it definitely feels interesting and actually really satisfying that it definitely feels like its own little game. And it's kind of nice to see. It's nice to see that Banjo-Kazooie actually had like a racing game that was on the GBA. Number 16, Mega Man Battle Network. When it comes to the Mega Man games, I just can't really get into them. For some reason, every single time I play New Entry or just try some of the older games, I could just never get into them. I find they're extremely difficult, and for some reason, I just could never get myself to play throughout the entire game. I just can never get into them. I know some people that really love Mega Man, and quite frankly speaking, Mega Man does look like they're really good games, but honestly, I just can never really get myself to play into those games. However, in terms of the Mega Man games in general, Battle Network honestly is one of those games I actually do really like. For some reason, when it comes to the story and when it comes to the actual gameplay, I do actually really enjoy it. It's a lot different from other Mega Man games where it feels more like a tactical kind of games, which honestly, it definitely feels a lot like that. And honestly, I definitely kind of dig it since it's a lot different from all the other Mega Man games I've played. And honestly, this game is just really good. I honestly recommend it to anybody who loves Mega Man, or just maybe they're just not really into Mega Man and want something a little bit different that is kind of similar to what Mega Man is. Then I think you really like this game. I have not played the collection yet, and I do plan on trying it, even though I've heard a lot of bad things about it. So I'm not sure if I really want to try it, but who knows. I might just try it just for the hell of it, but who knows. That being said, though, when it comes to Battle Network, the first game, in my opinion, is actually really good. And honestly, it's probably one of the only Mega Man games I actually really like out of the whole franchise. Number 15, Yoshi Topsy Turvy. I think in terms of Yoshi games that feature him as the main character, this was a lot different from other Yoshi games that I've played. Even though I still love Yoshi's Island, and this game is very similar to what Yoshi's Island is, except you're not carrying Baby Mario. And I do love the GBA port of Yoshi's Island, but when it comes to the new games, I gotta say, when it comes to just Yoshi as a whole, I think this game overall is a lot of fun. It is a little bit similar to Yoshi's Story in terms of the graphics, because to me it definitely feels like Yoshi's Story, but it's on GBA. But even still, the game is a lot of fun. The only thing I don't like is the tilt controls. For some reason, Nintendo back in the day did that with the GBA, where for some reason they added the tilt controls. I'm not a big fan of that, and they did that with Kirby Tit and Tumble, where they added that as like a fun little feature. To me, I'm not crazy about that, which I really wish they could have removed that. But that being said, this game was a lot of fun, and honestly, for a Yoshi game, I couldn't say nothing negative about it. It's still a lot of fun. Number 14, Sonic Battle. I think in terms of a really good Sonic fighting game that actually was on the portable system, it's got to go to Sonic Battle. This game overall is just a lot of fun, and it's probably the best fighting game I've seen out of a Sonic game. Even though we would talk about Sonic the Fighters, even though that game in arcade mode is actually a lot of fun, but when it comes to Sonic Battle, I think that game defeats it hands down. This game is just a lot of fun. I remember playing this game a lot with friends back in the day. We used to play all the random different Sonic characters. Obviously, I would always play as Shadow, but every single one of them would always play as all the other different Sonic characters. There's just a mix of different ones you would also play as. And a lot of the challenges, a lot of the modes is just really good. And it's just different from other fighting games where instead of you doing like an arcade style fighting, it's just kind of like you're in an arena battle and you're just fighting the shit out of each other. It's just a lot of fun. And the story mode, even though it's a little bit odd, for some people to actually follow the Sonic lore, to them, I think it's kind of a little bit odd. But for me, it definitely felt like it was fine. And honestly, I really just cared about a lot of the fighting elements of it. I think it's just a lot of fun. Honestly, I definitely recommend this game for anybody who loves Sonic, or just really want to play like a fighting game to play on the GBA. This is a great game. Number 13, DK King of the Swing. King of the Swing was a very different Donkey Kong game that I played, especially the fact that it's a little bit different from other Donkey Kong games I played, like Donkey Kong Country. Now, obviously, Donkey Kong Country, even though the GBA ports are excellent on here as well, but honestly, in terms of a Donkey Kong game, it's definitely got to go to King of Swing. King of Swing was a very different game, especially the fact that how you climb different levels, and basically kind of just do all the objective, beat all the bosses. And yeah, obviously, this game is a lot better than the DS game, Jungle Climber. Jungle Climber, to me, I felt was actually a really good game. However, in terms of the stylus, I was not a big fan of the fact you could use the stylus a lot too much. Where with King of Swing, you definitely had more, and it was more of the cartoony aesthetic that really made it a lot better. And it was just very different. You basically just kind of climbed through different walls and different objectives and beat different bosses. And you also go through different challenges, and you also get to play as a lot of the other characters from the Donkey Kong Country games. Honestly, it was just a lot of fun. Number 12, Mario Party Advance. Mario Party Advance was a lot different from all the other Mario Party games over the years, mainly because of the fact that it's kind of its own thing. For a lot of people, this is considered the black sheep of the entire franchise, which I can understand why. It's basically a lot different from all the other Mario Party games. In a way, it kind of feels like it's more of like an RPG, even though it does borrow the same aesthetic as the other Mario Party games. But still, the game honestly is a lot of fun, and it does feel like it has a lot of charm to it. I do think that some of the minigames can be a little bit tedious, which I do agree with a lot of people. But honestly, in terms of how the game is, it still is a lot of fun. And I do find myself going back and playing it sometimes. Even back in the day, I used to really play this a lot. And honestly, in terms of a Mario Party game, it is a lot of fun. Number 11, WarioWare Inc. Out of all the WarioWare games, I think it's safe to assume that this is up there as one of the best games of the franchise. For me, it's up there for sure. This game is just a lot of fun. Like, the challenges in this game, I like going back and playing it many, many times. It's just really addicting, and it's just one of the best games I've played in the WarioWare franchise. I do think it's a lot better than WarioWare Twisted, which obviously does suffer from the tilt controls like I mentioned with Yoshi's Topsy Turvy. However, in terms of how that game is, it still is a lot of fun, but I still prefer WarioWare Inc. WarioWare Inc. is just a blast. I honestly recommend it to anybody who really likes playing a lot of party games, or just really like to play something a little bit different. You'll never be disappointed. This game is just a lot of fun. Number 10, Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland. There's some people that are probably going to see this list and think, why would he add a remake on this list? Well, considering the fact that the Game Boy Advance is a lot of remakes and ports, and obviously just new games entirely. But when it comes to Kirby, Kirby has had a few games on here that were sort of remakes, but also new games as well. When it comes to Return to Dreamland, this is kind of a remake of Kirby's Adventure. Now, the reason I even also put this game on this list is mainly because of the fact that this is actually the first Kirby game I actually got to try as a kid. This actually was really good what got me into the Kirby franchise. I think what really got me was the first cover of it where it showed the animation from Kirby Right Back at You back in the day, which that was a really good anime in and of itself. And I think that's what really got me hooked into it. Ever since then, I really got into the Kirby games. They're just a lot of fun, and this game overall is a really good remake of the original Kirby. I also really like the fact that you actually get to play as Meta Knight, and Meta Knight in general just kicks ass, but he was also really good in this game as well. The only downfall with this game is that you cannot save. There's no save file, you literally have to play the game in one shot. It was really disappointing, but either way, this game was a lot of fun. Number 9, Mario Tennis Power Tour. In terms of the Mario sports games that are on the GBA, I gotta say Mario Tennis Power Tour is probably the best one. I do love the Mario Golf game, even though that game is a lot of fun as well. But I found with Mario Tennis Power Tour, I found myself really enjoying it even more than I did with that game. And the fact that the story mode is even a lot better. It had more of like an RPG kind of feel that it was very similar to what the Game Boy Color Mario Tennis was. In a way, I definitely felt it was a lot better than that game, but that being said, it was still a lot of fun. Most of this game, I think, is a lot of fun. The only thing I do think that they could have done was maybe added more characters instead of like, maybe add like 7 or 8. I don't know, to me they could have just done a little bit better with that, but still. This game was a lot of fun, and playing it on the GPA I thought was a lot better. There's not much I could say about it. It's Mario Tennis. It's just a lot of fun. Number 8, Crash Bandicoot Purple and Spyro Orange. So I'm sort of cheating in this list by adding 2 games in this list. Well, the reason why that is because technically these are crossover games. And the fact that these kind of are basically exactly the same. Back in the day, I never would have expected that we would ever get a crossover game of Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon. Now, 2 of these franchises I really love a lot, especially back in the PS1 days. Pretty much every single game that they've made on the PS1 I thought was awesome. That being said, though, obviously a lot of the original creators have lost the rights to them, like Insomniac Games and Naughty Dog. So basically, Sony no longer has the rights to Crash and Spyro, but back in the day when they had their own games, this is basically what they kind of did. In a way, Universal Interactive decided to kind of do that by adding a crossover game between the 2 characters. Back in the day, when I seen the commercials for this, I literally blew out of my mind. Mainly because of the fact I love these 2 characters. Now, I will say that these 2 games are pretty much exactly the same, except that you're playing as 2 different characters. Some of them do have like different modes, like and different objectives, and obviously different bosses, but still, it's basically exactly the same game, except one game you're playing as Spyro, and one game you're playing as Crash. Either way, these 2 games were fantastic, and honestly, even though these 2 have their own games on the GPA, this has got to be their best one. Number 7, Advance Wars. Interesting fact about Advance Wars. Advance Wars was a game I kind of was holding off from for a long time, mainly because of the way the gameplay looked. I'm not really too big on tactics RPG kind of games. I don't know, for some reason I'm just not too big into them. It's up there as one of my least favorite kind of games of all time, up there with card games. However, in terms of Advance Wars, it kind of got me really interested in trying the game out, even from a lot of people talking about it, and the fact it's by the same creators that worked on Fire Emblem. Now, obviously, Fire Emblem was another franchise I was kind of put off for a while ever since I played Three Houses, but then eventually I decided to cave in and try it out. After trying the game out, I gotta say, Advance Wars has got to be up there as one of my favorite GBA games. It is just a lot of fun. Who would have thought that playing as tanks was just so addicting? And this game really sold me on that premise. Honestly, this game is just a lot of fun. I definitely think that, honestly, Nintendo should make more games in this series. It's just a lot of fun. Number 6, Metroid Fusion. For most of the Metroid games I played in any Nintendo handheld console, this is up there as my favorite one. Mainly because of the fact that it is a sequel to Super Metroid on the Super Nintendo. Now, Super Metroid is up there as one of my favorite games of all time. It's just really that good. This game feels a lot like that with the same aesthetic and the same rhythm. This game just definitely feels a lot like that, and that's why I really enjoy this game. This is just a lot of fun, and I get myself addicted to this game every single time I play it. It's just a great game. Number 5, Mario Pinball Land. I think I mentioned once before on my channel that I do love a lot of pinball games. Pretty much anytime I go to an arcade, I just really love to play a lot of pinball machines. It's just one of those things I like to do. That being said though, when it comes to pinball games, even on the GPA, I gotta say Mario Pinball Land is really good. I do like Pokemon Pinball, but I feel like Mario Pinball was a lot better, mainly because of the fact that it was just different. The gameplay was a lot different where you would just kind of go from different levels and you were in the ball and you would just hit your ball anywhere you wanted to and get a lot of points. To me, it definitely felt like it was really cool. And the fact that it's Mario, it makes it even a lot better. I really wish that Nintendo would one day actually make a sequel to this game, or maybe perhaps make a remake. It's one of those things I really hope that one day Nintendo does, because they've been doing a lot of remakes as of late. Either way, this game is a lot of fun, and I found myself really addicted to this game. It's got to be up there as one of my favorite pinball games. Number 4, Wario Land 4. Besides the WarioWare games, Wario has always had at least a couple different platformers. Most definitely with at least Wario Land. Wario Land back in the day was a lot of fun to play, ever since he debuted in Mario Land 2. Ever since then, Wario became the main character of his own game. And honestly, when it comes to Wario Land 4 is probably the best game in the entire series. It's just a really good game. Pretty much the entire game is pretty much just its own little story, and a lot of it is just a lot of fun. Most of the platform elements is just great. I definitely think it's a lot better than the piece of shit DS game that came out, which is Wario Master Disguise. Not a big fan of that game, but either way, this game is a lot better than it. Honestly, it's just a lot of fun. I really think that Nintendo should make more Wario games like this, where they should be doing more Wario Land games. They're just classics, and I feel like Nintendo needs to bring back this series. Number 3, Mario vs. Donkey Kong. The original Mario vs. Donkey Kong was a lot of fun to play on the GPA. What started as like an original counterpart to the Donkey Kong game on Game Boy kind of became its own thing. Basically, instead of you saving Pauline, you're saving all the Mario minis. This game overall was just a lot of fun. Most of the areas where you had to collect different keys and go through the levels and beat Donkey Kong in each boss level, I just thought it was a lot of fun. I have played the new remake on it, which was on the Switch, and honestly, the Switch version I thought was excellent, and they kind of did a good job at adding the updated graphics and kind of newer cinematics. Honestly, this game on the GPA is just a lot of fun, and I highly recommend anybody to definitely check this game out. Number 2, Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. The original Pokemon games on the GPA were awesome back in the day. Even though I could have picked Fire Red and Leaf Green, originally I was going to pick those games instead of Ruby and Sapphire, but the only reason why I didn't is because sadly those are remakes, not really mainline games. But either way, Ruby and Sapphire, out of all the games, I really enjoy a lot. This game, overall, I would spend hours on the Game Boy Advance, especially when this was a game I actually discovered like way after I was into the series. And honestly, from what I played, it's actually really good. Even back then, this was actually a much improvement from how Red and Blue was, where a lot of the characters, you go really, really fast, and you bike really fast. In the original, it was super, super slow. Here was a better improvement where the character would just go super fast, and basically you could just go around all the areas and go all the caves and catch Pokemon pretty easily. I also played the remakes, which is Mega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. To be quite honest with you, they're great remakes. The only thing I didn't like about it was the Mega Evolution. I'm not the biggest fan of Mega Evolution Pokemon. That's just me. What is there really not to say about it? It's Ruby and Sapphire. It's a great game out of the entire franchise. Number 1 favorite Game Boy Advance game is Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. That's right. Superstar Saga is my favorite Game Boy Advance game of all time. Honestly, when it comes to the Mario & Luigi franchise, I just really love the RPG games. These games are just fantastic. The first game, in my opinion, is really what got me really interested in trying these games out. And honestly, at the time when this game came out, it just really blew me away in terms of an RPG. The fact that it's really different from how the original Mario RPG and Paper Mario, it was just a lot different. And the way the mechanics were so much different from all those other games, I thought was just fantastic. The story and everything where it has all the Mario characters and how most of the stuff that just happened, it's just fantastic. These games are just great. And yes, this game kind of suffers where there are some titles that actually are pretty bad, like for example, like Partners in Time. However, in terms of how the Mario Luigi games are, they're just great games. I really enjoy them, and they're just a lot of fun. I have played the Superstar Saga on the 3DS when they decided to port the game. To be honest with you, I do like the new addition that they added with Bowser, and they kind of did the same thing with Bowser's Sad Story, where they added a little bit of like a new feature, and kind of also made that into a port as well. Either way, the original game is just fantastic, and honestly, it's up there as pretty much one of my favorite games of all time, and it's definitely my favorite Game Boy Advance game of all time as well.